Hey everyone, welcome to Be Our Guest, our weekly virtual happy hour with industry professionals. I'm Dev Janki. I am the artistic director of Live and in Color. We are a not-for-profit theater based in both in New York and Connecticut. Our mission is to develop new plays and musicals that promote and celebrate diversity. You can find out a lot more about us on our website. So go to theatreincolor.org and follow us on all our social media platforms. We're so happy to have you here today. So now grab a cocktail and please start leaving your questions for our special guest in the comments. And please help me welcome Broadway star who has appeared in such shows as Seussical and 9 to 5 and Les Miserables and Cinderella and Avenue Q. And you may also know her from NBC's hit show Smash. Please welcome the amazing Ann Harada. Hello.
Hello.
Where are you calling in from, Ann?
I'm on Cape Cod, and it's beautiful.
How are you doing? How has this crazy time been treating you?
I'm okay. I'm lucky to be away, and like in some nature for a change, which is awesome. But I'm just sad. Like part of this whole, you just see people on the internet thing,
right?
It feels even harder to imagine, like, when will we all be together in the same place?
Right.
So, but I do love it. I mean, I do love it. I'm very grateful for all the entertainment I'm getting virtually.
Well, and you have been entertaining others as well. So thank you.
Well,
So I want to start at the beginning. You grew up in Hawaii, and I heard you talk about that you were a complete theater nerd in school, as was I. What was it like growing up all the way over there, so far from the Broadway?
Well, I was lucky that we had a theater club. That there were people there who we could talk about things we liked. It just felt very small. Like, people in Hawaii don't really care about the theater, and because it's an indoor activity,
Right.
So it just felt very kind of like, I like this thing that not very many people like. That's what it felt like. And luckily I had parents who were willing to take me on vacations to New York every, once in a while. And I would get to go see Broadway shows, and that was thrilling. And I would see whatever show sort of crossed my path in Hawaii. But yeah, it felt definitely like it was a world so far away that you couldn't even comprehend it.
And yet you found your way there.
Of course. Well, don't we all?
Yeah, yes, as we all did. Well, what's so interesting is your first Broadway credit, you were actually a production assistant on a show called Sleight of Hand, which is so fascinating. Looking back at that, what lessons did you learn being like on the production side of the industry?
Oh, so much. I mean, the whole reason I took that job was I had gone to Brown, and the producer of this show had also gone to Brown and wanted an intern from Brown. So basically I was like, I raised my hand. I was like, pick me. And so she did. And, I didn't get paid hardly at all, I don't think. But I typed her letters, and I, answered her phone, and kind of like was there for the day-to-day kind of experience of producing a show, which I realized I did not want to be producing.
Right.
But I did love the whole kind of like the scene of it, like, I have a meeting with casting today, and then we're going to have the press wrap, like that kind of thing. So that was cool. And I got to sit in on the auditions, and that was the greatest, because then I could actually see real professional actors coming in and auditioning. And I was like, they're not that much better than me. I could do this, but like, until you see real people do it, you don't know if you can.
Absolutely.
Because, I just come out of college, and I wasn't any great big deal in college. I went to school with like Laura Linney and Tim Blake Nelson. I wasn't anybody. You know what I mean?
Oh, well.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you see people who have like extraordinary talent, that's my phone going off. That you don't know if you are capable.
Well, we all know how capable you are now. how did, from that moment, I think, when did you sort of have your first break, or you really transitioned into being a performer from that moment?
Oh, well, I auditioned. My friend, again from Brown, worked in a casting office and brought me in for a job at Manhattan Theater Club. And I auditioned because she knew me, not because I had, and then I got that job. So then I had to join the union.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I'm a professional actor or whatever. And then after that, I just thought, well, I still worked at the producer's office, but I started auditioning more. And that's just sort of what happened. I got the casting director for Sleight of Hand was also casting M. Butterfly. And
Mhm.
she came to see my cabaret because we invited her. Like,
Yeah.
She came to see my cabaret. She's like, oh, well, maybe Anne could come in for M. Butterfly. And I came in and I got the job.
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing. Well, see, that's really
myself.
how it works. I teach a lot of young people, and I always say, like, it really pays off to really learn every aspect of the business and involve yourself in anything and everything, and not just on stage. I think it's such a great lesson for people. And it just gives you a great perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
You know,
um,
even if I hadn't gotten the job, it would have been amazing just to audition at that level. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
So I was really, really lucky. And
As we both know, there continues back then, and there continues to be a real lack of Asian representation in theater and film. Legend has it that an early workshop of Avenue Q, there you are in Avenue Q, one of the creatives asked, does anyone know an Asian actress? And then you were cast. Tell us that story, and is that true?
Oh, well, this is true. This is from the BMI, the BMI workshop where all the writers get together and show their material to each other, basically, right?
Yeah.
And Amanda Green, who I had gone to college with, was at the BMI workshop class with Bobby Lopez and Jeff Marks. And they were like, we need an Asian actress. She was like, I went to college with somebody. Okay, here's her phone number. Like, it was like that.
Wow.
And so they called me. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. So I went in, and that's it. That's all there ever was. I never let anybody play that part but me.
And
once I had got my fingers on it.
Well, and for all of us who were fortunate to get to see you in that, it was a brilliant performance, and I feel like it really changed things for you in your career, did it not?
Oh my God, of course.
Yeah.
Put me on the map. After that, I never had to explain to anybody what my credits were.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have always been, but in that moment, I think even more so, you became such a role model for young Asian actors coming up in the industry. When you were coming up, were there any mentors or role models to you, or people you really looked up to?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, the people like Sai Chin, an actress who I always thought, well, I'll never get these parts because they're older and they'll get them because they have more experience and they're better. But like Jodie Long, people who've been around for a while. And then even within like the musical community, there were people that always got cast because they were very talented, like Joanne Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And Christine Toy Johnson, people who had lots of experience and could actually dance. They'll tell you they saw me audition for things because we would all be in the dance call together.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, oh, that poor girl. Oh my. But like seriously, like I'd get to the dance call because I'd pass the singing and the talking, and then it would just be a disaster, disaster. But they knew who I was because like, oh, she's cute. Never gonna happen. But yeah, so like, of course, but there just needs to be more of us. Do you remember like back in the 90s, if you'd see a chorus and there'd be like one Asian girl and one Asian boy, sometimes like Larry, Darren, something like that. Now I can't even count on that. Now I just sort of feel like we're lucky if anybody's in the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we continue to fight the fight, right?
It's like, what? Why are we going backwards? That's what I don't get at this point. When we've shown when it's obvious the depth of talent within our community. It just makes me furious.
Yeah, I hear you. Hence, what we're trying to do at Live and in Color, just trying to like continue to push it forward and continuing to try and make it a priority. When other people it might not be, but it is infuriating.
Well, look,
especially in the the current situation.
Here we are. Like, okay, I get it. Like, if you're talking about people of color, I can see that our color is not the top priority for anybody. You know what I mean? Especially right now.
Yeah.
But we're here. And we have been here and we are not going anywhere. And it's like in Hamilton, like tomorrow there'll be more of us. Well, look at it. Look how deep our bench is, Dev. Do you remember back in the day there just weren't many of us, and now
we were the only ones.
Now there's so many, and it's thrilling, but it frustrates me that there's not any work for them either.
Yeah. Well, as we keep talking about time and time again on the show, like there just needs to be so many more of us in power positions, making the decisions, which I really feel is where the change will come. So we have to talk about Emoji Land.
Okay.
So you play, arguably, there you are in that fabulous costume. You arguably play one of the world's most popular emojis, the pile of poo. I got to see you in it. You were hysterical. It was such a funny, funny show. Did you have as much fun doing the show as the audience was?
Oh, of course. I got to wear the best dress. You could barely move in it, it's one of those kinds of costumes. But I loved it. I loved being there. I loved everybody in the show. I thought it was really fun.
I want to know what that offer was. When you got that offer, what you thought?
I was like, okay, so it's one song. So it's one song, and I'm the pile of poo. Okay, I read the script. I was like, okay, this isn't a lot of heavy lifting on my part.
Yeah.
I think it would be fun. It was literally like, I think it would be fun. I just wanted to hang out with my friends. And like, I knew that some of my friends were doing it. And I'm like, okay, why not? I got nothing else right now.
Well, it was hysterical. And, it was cut short by current events, but who knows? Maybe it will be back, I hope, because I think I get to see it. And as the pile of poo was one for the books. So, so I know last year you filmed a new stage musical called No One Called Ahead, which was filmed on a sound stage to be streamed online, which is such forward thinking in so many ways. Do you think productions like this are a successful alternative to keep the industry alive during this time of social distancing?
I have no idea if it's going to keep the industry alive.
Yeah.
All I know for me was like doing that. I thought it would be, and I still think it is, a great opportunity if you have a musical and you want to get it out there, right? If but you can't afford to do a stage production of it. And stage productions of things are expensive.
Super expensive, yeah.
Super expensive. They're hard to do, and not that many people end up seeing them, right? Because it's a limited size of theater.
Yeah.
This is a very small show, so it's not going to go into a huge house or anything like that. I just thought it was like the perfect way to like get product out, to show everybody else, look, you don't have to do it like this, but here's this. And this is my show, and we staged it so you could see, you have an idea of how it might play. Right? So that you're controlling the product that the audience sees because you're shooting it. The camera's on this guy. You know what I mean? You're not just sort of relying on people coming to a show and then like watching something that they're not supposed to be watching. You know what I mean? The focus is all goofy do. So that's what I think is great about it. I was so interested in this concept.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how it was going to work because we barely rehearsed. And that's really bad for me because it takes me a long time to learn stuff now. So literally like on the first day, I was like, we're shooting like tomorrow. Like I didn't know. I was like, I don't know any of this. Like they were writing my lines on gigantic pieces of butcher paper. and holding them up. And I'd be like, oh, right, that's what I'm saying. Okay. You know what I like? Just because I didn't have enough time. But like, if I knew, now that I know what it is, I think I would be better at it. But still, that's what I love about theater is rehearsing.
Right. Yeah.
You're making the stuff with everybody else. You're not in your room by yourself, memorizing something and like, it's done. That's nuts.
Well, I think, the way things are going, there's going to be a lot more of it. So,
right. Get used to
we'll hopefully get to practice more of that muscle, use that muscle a little more. So, yeah. But you did make a lot of frequent appearances on the TV series Smash as Linda, the stage manager.
Poor Linda.
So this show made a huge comeback during quarantine because of its recent live stream event, Bombshell in Concert. Did you ever imagine the show would have such a cult following years after it ended?
I don't know. I loved the show while we were doing, I loved being on it. I loved every single person on it. I thought they were all amazing. And I just felt like the most fortunate under 5 person in the world to be able to sit in that room day after day and watch people do like these ridiculous numbers over and over again, I just, it was one of the greatest jobs of my life.
Yeah.
And believe me, I was a day player. I had no contract with every single day I was there was like, oh, thank you. Somebody wants me to make another, $900 or whatever it was, because I just loved doing it. And I had so little to do on the show. So.
Well, you have a huge fan following, including our producer, Lauren, who's, but I know there's what are the Smash fans called?
I have no idea.
Anyway, there's another crazy fan who is on this call who's just begging to say hello. Oh, here it is.
Surprise!
Hello,
hi guys.
Director and star of Broadway's Aladdin and The King and I and Miss Saigon and a series regular for so many years on the Sesame Streets.
22 years. 22 years, people.
22 years.
Oh, good. Ann is drinking. I saw her drinking, and I was told to make a drink. Okay, good. I was told to make a drink. And I saw her drinking, so I was.
Alan, how are you?
I'm great.
Yes?
Yes, very, very good.
He has a cat now.
My husband and I just got a cat. So
and what's the cat's name?
The cat's name is Charlie Pepper Doheny.
Named after who?
Yeah, so Doheny named after the street in LA.
Right.
Okay.
Charlie, just because we love Charlie. And Pepper, there's a long story with Pepper. Long story.
I love it. It seems like
Charlie, Dev. It's fine.
You can just call it Charlie.
Charlie.
Yeah. She doesn't answer by it anyway, so it doesn't matter. We call her, and she's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
That's the cat mentality.
That is cat mentality.
So I don't know, but tell me, how did this friendship start? When did you guys meet?
Oh my goodness, Ann. Do you remember what year it was?
I'm gonna say 89.
I want to say 88, and then it probably was 89. Yeah. So Ann and I did a production, an original production called Mikado Inc. at the Paper Mill Playhouse.
I remember.
And it sort of started our journey. And I was told before I went to the first day of rehearsal that I had to go up to Ann Harada and tell her that we were going to have lunch together. So the very first day of rehearsal, I walked up to her and I said, hi, I'm Alan Maroka, and we're having lunch together. And the rest is history.
I know. I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, the rest really is history because you guys, look at you, the two of you.
Look
at you like Costco.
Look at us.
Who took a picture from Costco?
Look at that.
Okay, and I have to be honest. I go to Costco like twice a month. And we go together usually before pre-pandemic, pre-isolation, self-isolation. We used to go all the time together.
I'm sure you get a lot of great collaborative, creative work done at Costco together.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You've worked on so many projects together, including High School Musical at the Muni, Christmas Eve with Christmas Eve, Ann's Lincoln Center American Songbook Concert. why do the two of you enjoy collaborating so much?
He's okay. Well, when somebody knows you as well as Alan knows me, he calls me on my shit instantly. It just goes so much faster.
Mm-hmm.
And
shockingly, Anne calls me on stuff. You know, it doesn't seem like it's in her personality, but to do that. But yeah, no, it's kind of great. I mean, and what is great about it is it's like having a third eye in the room during rehearsals. So if I'm directing something and she's in it, she will come up to me and say, "Fix that, fix that, fix that." And and 9 times out of 10, she's absolutely right. So it's helpful.
Like it's such a trust, like he knows what I do well, my voice, what's appropriate. You know what I mean? If I'm comfortable, he can tell. And it's so much easier with somebody who just knows you that well. You've got a shorthand and
absolutely.
Christmas Eve stuff. We wrote all the scripts. So we would just go back and forth, and then like she would write something, I would say, how about this joke here, this joke here? And it was actually really great. And then we brought it in the room, and then her guest stars added stuff to that. So it was actually really fun and collaborative.
That's how
so
it is.
Wonderful. It's so great when you find like a creative soulmate like that you can really just keep working together.
And he's a really good director.
Oh, I know he is.
I have seen many, many things he's directed. And I was like, okay, like, I'm not just whistling Dixie here. He's just because he's my friend. He's actually a really good director. So, I mean, I just like, the trust level is so high and it's just so easy for us.
Well, speaking of directing, I had the great fortune of many years ago getting to see your all Asian. I got to see both versions of your all Asian production of Falsetto Land that Anne was one of the stars in. Yeah. It was groundbreaking at the time, and sadly, it would be just as groundbreaking today. It was thrilling, that production. Can both of you talk a little bit about that experience and what it meant to you? And I know what it meant to so many of us in the community, but talk a little bit about that.
Well, go ahead, Ann.
You start. You start.
It's your show. No, it's your show.
It's my favorite show. It's my favorite.
Half Hour with Ann Harada, not Alan.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show, and I lost a lot of friends during that time period. So,
really?
Oh yeah, because I've been in the city. I was in the city starting like in 1985, right? And I did a lot of work with the New York City Gay Men's Chorus, almost all of whom were lost, like the generation that I knew. You know what I mean? So for me to sit through a show like Falsetto Land, it was like the most cathartic, experience of my life when I saw it off Broadway, like in all its different venues, the original production. And to think that I would be able to be in a production of it was so special to me, and that we would be able to do it as a community, and that Bill Finn would sign off on it as a good idea, like that everybody was aware of it and that it was cool. See, it was like an incredible step for me, kind of like in my head, to go like, oh, I can do this. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have the opportunity to play the lead very often, sometimes you begin to think maybe I can't do it. But that show proved to me not only could I do it, so could all my friends, and it would be amazing. Mm-hmm. And, and in terms of representation, I know it was good for people to see us up there together doing something so special. And so meaningful, sometimes you forget that the bench is so deep. I keep thinking that there's so many of us out there, and their talent is so strong. And I just want to keep seeing opportunities increase. And as a result of that show, our opportunities increased.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for that show, Stephen Flaherty would not have cast me in the Seussical. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, whatever, like one job leads to another. So for me, it was a huge deal.
And Alan?
We were really lucky with that show. It was, again, the backstory for me is that it was one of my favorite shows. I listened to it in college. And then I got to see the LA production, which actually was the entire off-Broadway cast came to LA to do it. So I saw Michael and I saw Steven. And so I had that in my mind. And I just pitched it as an idea as a fundraiser for NATCO, which is Mia Katikbak's Asian American Theater Company. And she was like, I love this idea. I don't do many musicals, but let's try it. She really liked the idea. And then from there, it was really easy to cast because everybody wanted to be a part of that. And it was going to be one night. And at the end of the evening, John Nakagawa, who works at Lincoln Center, a very, very influential person in our Asian American community, went up to Mia and said, "You need to put this in your season. It just has to be." And then Bill Finn signed off on it, and then we were off and running. So it was the greatest summer of our lives. We were at the vineyard. We were in the vineyard space, not a part of the vineyard season. And we got a love letter from the Times, and that was it. We took off. We ran probably 2 more months than our initial scheduled run because it was selling out. It kept selling out. So, and yeah, like Ann said, it sort of launched all of us. So, it's a show that, and for all of us, we knew it was so special when we were doing it that everyone was like, okay, I'm not going to be the weak link for this in this one. I'm going to step up. And because of that, it was a really special production.
Well, I know for everyone who got to witness it, it was very, very special. So thank you both for creating that historic theatrical moment for all of us. Speaking of representation and diversity and all the things, our mission at Live and in Color, we really want to connect diverse communities to create new stage works. For both of you, either of you, what does having a diverse working environment mean to you?
Well, it makes you feel seen. It makes you feel like you're not just there to be the token something. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like if it's you and there are other, colors represented as well, that that the team is seeing a full world, mm-hmm. Understands that the world has a lot of different colors in it and that you're a part of it. That's the most empowering thing of all, I think. I know I feel more comfortable when that's like that. I'm so used to being the only person of color in a room. I'm certainly used to being the only Asian in a room, and I don't like it. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. I would rather have some of my community around me if it's possible, just because, again, it's a shorthand, kind of like where we all share something in common, and it's, and that like because of our presence, that they're respecting who we are. I don't know how to say that in a better way.
I mean, you said it perfectly.
Yeah. And for me, I'm lucky enough to work on a show that diversity is in its mission statement. And so, I think that's part of the reason I've been there for 22 years is because it's important to have that representation. And, I keep forgetting, because it's to such a minor but small group of people that watch that show, but it's a small but mighty group that watches that show. And so whenever somebody comes up to me on the street or at Costco, that happens in a lot of Costco, I'm so humbled and honored that I get to be that person. I get to be that representation. And I have a room full of writers after 22 years who know how to write for me. So so if they know there's some ridiculous scenario that they want to pitch, they know that they can give it to me, and that I will be like, yeah, I'll do that. That's great. So, yeah. So well, continue.
I mean, Sesame Street obviously has been such a leader in that, in representation and, reflecting really what's going on in the world. I mean, Alan, we were speaking earlier just a little bit about how Sesame Street has really taken on what's happening now and spoken up. Talk briefly about that.
Absolutely. So yeah, once the pandemic started and we had shutdowns, we realized that we couldn't film anymore. We were in our last week of filming when we shut down. And so we had to all then go virtual. And so we've been doing virtual content for the last 3-4 months. And then we've also partnered with CNN to do, they call them town halls for kids and parents, talking about COVID-19, talking about racism and Black Lives Matter. talking about the anti-Asian American sentiment that was out there early on with the pandemic and blaming Asian Americans for the pandemic. So there's a lot of really quite adult issues that we've dealt with for children because we're all living it together. So we need to be explained to kids by their parents what's going on as well to educate them. And so, yeah, I've been so proud to be a part of that because it's been very important and impactful.
That's so wonderful. If only the rest of the world would follow Sesame Street's lead,
well,
I think would be.
I mean, what sucks about it is that Sesame Street has to do it because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have the kind of leadership that could do that or could think ahead to that. Like, this might be important to educate our children. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that Sesame Street has been carrying that banner for so long, has had to take responsibility, you know, to teach America's children. It's a miracle. I mean, it's a miracle. I'm so, you know, I'm well, first of all, my kid is too old now, but when Elvis was young and watched Sesame Street all the time, I thought it was such a gift to have that, you know, to sort of back up all the things that we were trying to say.
Absolutely.
And really quick, just so you know, back in the day, Ann and I were both called back for the role that I eventually got. And we read our sides together.
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Can you imagine? That would have been awful if I'd gotten
that. You're going to get this.
No, I was like, I'm not getting this job.
Wow. I never knew that story.
Oh my God. It's hysterical.
That's amazing.
Even still, he can't get me on the show playing his sister or something. Isn't that annoying?
I have tried.
I know.
I have tried.
Maybe after this. So let's take a few questions from our viewers. Let's see what we got. Okay, Lynette from Edmonton says, "I want to know what makes Ann laugh. She is incredibly funny. What makes you laugh, Ann?"
Kind, Lynette. What makes me laugh, Alan?
Not much.
Not much. I really like Tina Fey. She's like my favorite.
Oh.
And I obviously cannot get into the shot. Okay. And yeah.
Can I do my impression of Ann watching the show though?
Yeah.
My impression of Ann watching the show. like nothing. Like
no, I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
Yeah, she's the worst. Absolute worst.
Yeah. Don't invite me to come to your show and put me up front because it'll be bad. Even if I like it, I can't be like, you know, because
and that's something she likes is that. So imagine something she doesn't like.
Because I'm watching it so intently. You know what I mean? I can't kind of like be in it and, you know, whatever. Okay. Now we know. Sorry.
I love it. Tina Fey. So is there one more question? Let's see what we got. Bob Grachewski. And what was the energy like in your cast when Avenue Q beat Wicked for Best Musical? Ooh.
Okay, Bob. So imagine, if you will, we're all backstage at Radio City, right? And they're like, oh, they're giving out Best Musical. We're like, okay. So we all like kind of like faded back to like give Idina Menzel some room to like go. And then they were like, Avenue Q, we're like, what? Like, we couldn't believe it. It was so, we just started like screaming and running kind of like crazily towards the stage. And we had no idea what was going on. Like when we got out there, we didn't know what to do either. Like, you know, we had not anticipated this. Never at any point did we say, what if we won? What should we do? No plan. So we just ran out there and like, we're really goofy because we didn't know. We didn't think we were going to. And then when you watch it, the replay, it's like they put Wicked up on this big chyron over the set that said Best Musical. It's like, so we weren't supposed to win. They already had Wicked. You know what I mean? Like, they were all ready to go with Wicked. And we was like, Brr.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was the craziest night. We were so excited and we were just out of our minds because we couldn't believe it. Who would believe that?
Wow. Thrilling. So we are
Kim.
Oh, there. Oh, Kim, yay! Stage manager extraordinaire, dear friend of ours for many, many years from the West Coast. We are totally out of time. I could talk to both of you all night. I just want to say before we go, the work we do at Live and in Color fosters inclusive environments and creates platforms that showcase underrepresented voices. The work we do together is vital and really changes hearts and minds. If you can, please consider making a donation to us at theatreincolor.org to support us and our artists. Also, be sure to tune in to be our guest next week when I will be talking to Grammy-nominated artist and star of Broadway's Ain't Too Proud, Beautiful, the Carole King musical, and Chicago, the amazing James Harkness. So excited to have him here next week. And
love James Harkness.
Yeah, he's amazing, right, in that show. Thank you to everyone who tuned in today, and thank you, Ann and Alan, my dear friends, for joining us. Will you, Ann, would you leave us with a little toast before we go?
Well, here's to old friends. And I'm so glad we're all still here somehow.
We're still here. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Bye.
Seems like one long day. You're going through the motions. What does it matter? Does it matter anyway? Wishing things were different when the world is cold and gray. It's the same old song that's playing with the same old things to say. Someone should mix things up. Someone should take a chance. Someone should sing a new number. Someone should dance a new dance and change the story. Come on and change the scene. Choose the beginning, the ending in between. It's time to change the story. It's time to change the tune. See how the future looks bright. Change on the horizon. Coming soon. And suddenly you're not lonely. Burned out from 9 to 5. Suddenly you have purpose. You feel alive. Here everyone is welcome. Come in love and dignity. 'Cause when we come together, that's when we're truly free. Come on and mix things up. Come on and take a chance. Come on and sing a new number. Come on and dance. Let's change the story. Come on and change the scene. Change the beginning. The ending in between. It's time to change.